The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
There's something that can be done as a possibility and it's going to benefit, then we'll try to connect those dots. You know what you're capable of, you've run at that pace, and now you have to redirect. Welcome to Moments of Strength. I'm your host, Mary Kaufman. In this show, we celebrate the incredible resilience of mothers, showing up through life's challenges, growing through every triumph, and carving out space for their own passions and identity. We're here to uplift and reassure every mom that you are not alone and asking for help is a powerful strength. Each episode brings a story of motherhood's beautiful chaos. I'm happy you can join us for today's inspiring journey. And today's guest is Chandu, so thank you so much for coming, Chandu.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
This has been a little bit of a road to get you here, but I'm so happy you could make it.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about what the show is, but for viewers who are just joining us, the show's aim really is to uplift moms through stories of life experience.
Yeah.
So we're going to walk through yours today.
Okay, sounds good.
So if you could talk a little bit, or start out talking a little bit about your childhood, as much or as little as you want to share, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. So I was born in India.
Okay.
57, so it gives you a little idea. And when I was 3 years old, my parents, who had been through quite a bit of loss, they lost all their parents and a 8-month-old daughter who was my older sister. In a span of like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And so I think at that point my dad was ready for a change. And so he told my mom, you know, let's leave India. Let's seek out a path for us. So at that time he started applying, and 2 places he applied. I believe one was I don't know if that time it was Nova Scotia, was Canada.
Okay.
And the other was in Ireland.
Okay.
And they ended up picking Ireland. So my dad left first and kind of set up shop. They were both doctors.
Okay.
So, and a few months later, my mom and I joined him. I was 3 at the time, so that was like 1971. And we lived in Cork, Ireland.
Nice.
For about almost 4 years. My sister was born there. So my first education outside of India was Catholic school in Cork, Ireland. And if you know where Cork is, it's in the southern part. So I started school there. I went to Catholic school. And as you know, Catholicism and Ireland are pretty intertwined.
Yes, for sure.
And our family was Hindu, and the nuns were pretty concerned that as a Hindu coming in, I mean, there was requirements of me to go to Mass and do the rosary and say prayers. I had to go to church, and they just wanted to be sure my parents were fine with that.
Sure.
And my parents, who were like, for sure, we believe in all religions, and if this is a learning opportunity for her.
Sure.
So I used to go to church every day during school, Mass, and then on Sunday with our neighbor.
Yes.
And I developed a Gaelic Irish accent. So I don't know if you know, so my name is, you know me as Chandu.
Yes.
So my actual name is Chandramati.
Okay.
That's my full name, and I'm named after my dad's mom. In our culture, everybody has nicknames just like here.
Sure.
And so my name was Chandu. That's my nickname. So that's the Indian pronunciation.
Okay.
I've always been known as Chandu for as long as I can remember, outside of my family. So
Gotcha.
in my outside of family life. And I asked my mom once, like, how did it become Chandu? And I think she told me once that it was from Ireland. You know, they have that kind of lilting accent, and it was a soft C instead of the hard C.
Yes.
And so it just became Chandu, and that's how I've always just been known to my friends who are, you know, outside of my Indian circle of friends. That's how I've been known. So after my sister was born, my family moved to the United States. So it was 1974. So it's over 50 years.
Do you have memories from Cork? I mean, you were pretty young.
Very young. I don't. I remember our neighbor. I remember a little bit of school. I used to learn Irish step dancing. Very vague, vague memories. And I just remember my parents felt very welcomed and had a lovely time there, but realized that America was where they wanted to be.
Maybe there was a step on the way to the next.
So my dad, and by this time my mom had 2 young kids, and she decided that she couldn't work right away. So my dad worked, and even though they were doctors practicing in India and Ireland, like, you have to go through licensing exams here. They had to redo their residencies. So it was my mom had left the only people she knew in India, and left all her friends and friends in Ireland. And it was during Watergate hearings.
Oh my gosh.
And the only thing on TV was the Nixon-Watergate hearings. And so she was super depressed. But, you know, we were there for a year for my dad to do his internship. And then eventually we settled in Chicago. And so that's where the majority of my life in the U.S. started, was in Chicago. And until we moved to Wisconsin.
So by the time you were in Chicago, you were maybe 8? Or
7-ish.
Oh, 7, okay.
Yeah, 7-ish. And one thing I do remember is, you know, as was in, you know, Catholic school, and around 7, I think, is when little girls get confirmed. Their first Holy Communion.
Oh, communion,
And I always wanted the white dress with the pearls. And we left and I was never going to have a communion. But I just wanted the dress. And I remember for my 7th birthday, we still have this picture of me in the backyard of our apartment complex, and I was in the full, from top to bottom, with including the hat and the gloves. The dress with the pearls. I don't know if you get those dresses anymore, but
they still do the white dresses. Sometimes the gloves, and I mean, it probably varies. You know,
and the pearls were stitched into the dress.
But the dresses are still that's still part of it.
So that was my schooling. I had when we first moved to Buffalo, I had a really heavy Irish accent. And I had to be in speech because no one in my school could understand me. So, but I got over that, and then had a Chicago accent for many years. And then after being in Wisconsin, my siblings tell me now I have a Wisconsin accent.
Maybe say a few things, you know, that sound like that.
But
just acclimating to that as part of.
And my mom went back to work, and when she had 3 young children. So as the oldest of 3, and I'm 6 years older than my sister and 9 than my brother. And so I kind of grew up pretty fast. I was the eldest daughter. My mom was doing her residency, and she was on call every 3rd day. So I learned cooking from my dad, cleaned house, took care of my siblings, went to school. So it was a pretty, like, older sibling. We were latchkey kid. You know, it was the whole, how I remember childhood.
And I don't think we minded. It was just kind of.
It was just
what you knew.
It was just what I knew, and it taught me so many things. Having that responsibility, like cooking is one of my hobbies now. I love cooking, and you know, people are like, "You must have learned from your mom." I'm like, no, actually, I learned from my dad. My dad's when he cooked, was an excellent cook, and I learned from him.
That is different because you expect. You know, I think typically we just expect that we learn that from moms. So did you teach your kids cooking? Do they like it like you?
So I tend to be a little bit more of a control person. So I like to cook. So, but my elder daughter does love to cook. And I think she's learned, you know, when I've taught her a couple of Indian dishes, simple Indian dishes that she can make and enjoy. During COVID, obviously, we fell into the whole, we need to learn how to bake bread. So I did that. So they do. My family loves Indian food, and so that's still probably the main thing I cook.
Carry it on. So you're taking care of the family, third parent. And when you were in school, did you do music or sports or anything, or it's mostly take care of?
Yeah, I would say that I didn't really have a lot of close friends in school. Like, I had good friends.
Sure.
We've actually reconnected with some of those friends now on Facebook. But no, I was pretty much, I went to school, I did well, I came home, I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of my sister and brother, helped them with their homework. As a parent, you know, it's like hard to help your kids with their homework because they learned completely different than we did. And so, so I was pretty much the caretaker. So I didn't have a lot of connection with my American, what I call my American friends. But my parents had a close circle of Indian friends.
I was just going to ask that.
And so those are the people that we associated most with.
Sure.
So weekends were always spent at everybody else's houses. And when I was 7, my parents were introduced to a classical Indian dance teacher. And so she had just also come from India and was interested in passing on the art. And I happened to end up being her first student.
Okay.
So that was a community that some of my closest friends now are the girls I learned Indian classical dance with. And I stuck with it for probably until I really went off to college.
Wow, that's
then, you know, and then life takes over and you're in college, and I was in law school, and then I got married and moved away. And so I've actually come back to it now because actually I'm chair of her board of directors now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The same dance teacher?
The same dance teacher.
My gosh,
She's
that's
a very close family, one of my mom's closest friends. So, yeah, so we've just always been close. And so, yeah, it's like life come full circle.
Yeah. So can I ask some questions?
Yeah, sure.
So when you moved to Chicago, it sounded like maybe you didn't really know anyone, or did your mom kind of, I mean, it was back in the like 70s, so you couldn't like be online and find somebody, but sometimes you have a relative or like a friend that moved there first. To get connected with, or?
No, we actually didn't.
Okay.
My dad went, and if you remember, like the old brownstones from so it was like a three-story apartment complex. And every floor was an apartment, its own apartment. And in the ground floor was the landlord, and she was a German lady, wonderful person. And then the second floor, they were also from India. Husband and wife, and they had 2 boys. And then it was at that time, it was my mom and dad and me and my sister.
Right.
So we had a connection with India. And then it just became like this circle, organically formed friends. Oh, I know an Indian family. Oh, we know an Indian family. And then, but my mom, I think as we grew up, there was a close circle of 5 families. It sounds like Godfather-ish, but there was the 5 families.
And
that we always met.
Yes.
Every weekend, and still are closest friends to this day. But yeah, we made a community with them, and then obviously our dance family, and so that's how but I don't remember like having my friends over from school, and life was just so busy.
Well, and then too, I mean, that was a little bit different because like maybe if someone got off the bus with you or lived close to you, it really was friendships of convenience, because parents were not like, hey, let's have a play date with so-and-so and drive you there. There was none of that. So if there were no real friends of convenience that could work out, I mean, you just went home. We did that too.
Right.
And
so
I moved a lot too, so it like took time to figure out who those friends would be. And then
it's I think as immigrants, you know, you already feel like you stand out, and you just find that the community that you're comfortable in, they speak your language, you know, they eat the same food. It's just a comfort level. And I think my parents like welcomed that for their kids and for themselves, obviously, because they didn't have any siblings here. Like everybody was back in India, so they just made this new family and new friendships, and they became our family. And I think that's kind of, you know, how immigrant stories develop.
I think so. You know, we seek the familiar. This is how we are designed, to seek the familiar. It doesn't mean that we're not open to having new experiences or meeting new people or anything, but just by default, you will seek the familiar. This is why when you go to a get-together with your family, your kids will be running around on the dance floor, and if you're at a wedding and stuff, but they come back, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, that seems to make sense. That's how that would play out. For your dance, did you have this beautiful dresses?
Oh yeah. So in the dance form that we learned, I learned for probably under her for like 3 or 4 years. Now it's a much more organized curriculum.
I'm sure it's grown so much.
And so you do a solo performance. So you literally do a 3-hour solo performance of the entire repertoire of dances that you have learned. And I did that in 1979 when I was 11 years old. So
did you love it?
I loved it. I loved it. I mean, those were my friends and family, and those are the kids' houses we slept over at. And like I said, they're still some of my closest friends now. And actually, the school is celebrating its 50th year this year.
That's amazing.
And I'm actually getting on the stage again.
Are you going to do my 3-hour dance?
We're not doing a 3-hour dance. We're doing a 6-minute dance.
Okay, pare down.
But she really wanted us to come together again as her first students and start the show. So we've been practicing. So yes, for those out there who have not heard this, but they're hearing it for the first time, I am. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's actually, it's like you remember those times.
Yeah, it's full
I
circle.
mean, the memories I have with those girls is just, it's just, yeah, they're so precious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure moms and parents and whoever is watching this, it's all ages that watch that. But, you know, you get to a point, now is the point for us where, you know, life, there's still so much ahead.
Yeah.
But you start to be nostalgic for what was too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that those markers, 25 years, 30, 50, and that people are still here and that you can still get together and reminisce and really celebrate where you've been in life. And that's beautiful.
It's really fun. Once you first suggested it to me, I was like, there's no way.
Right. Well,
like I don't have the 11, 12-year-old body anymore. And like you see shows now like Dance Moms, like our moms were totally not dance moms. No. This was the time for them to get together where they could sit together and gossip about everything but dance. And so, yeah, it's just good memories. Good memories.
Well, that's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so high school, and then you went to school where, or you went to college?
So I grew up in Lombard, Illinois, which is it's a suburb of Chicago.
Yes, okay.
So high school, high school was okay. I wasn't a big fan of high school. But I was on the badminton team for 4 years.
Yes.
So that was my sport.
Yeah.
But I literally went to school, badminton season, I practiced and did all that. But, you know, again, my parents brought us to this country for opportunities, and education for them was the way to do that. So they always just pushed, go to school, get good grades. And they weren't really, you learned your dance, that was your connection to your culture and the homeland. But they didn't understand a lot of the other extracurriculars like sports and, right? They didn't really get that.
That maybe takes away from what the folk.
Yeah, they didn't.
Not that it's bad, but just
they didn't come to any of my. They knew I went to meets and, you know, but I don't think they ever came to one of my meets to see me. Yeah. You know, play badminton.
Also, did you feel bad?
Actually, I was fine with it. It was part of my life that was okay. But then I graduated from high school, and I ended up going to Loyola University in Chicago. Which was, when it was my first time outside of the house. In high school, we didn't date. We didn't, I didn't do any of that. So, you know, it was really wild for me to live in a dorm, even though it was in Chicago, and I literally went home every weekend because I missed my family. And but I had a wonderful time at Loyola for 4 years, and I went right into law school. So for 7 years after high school, I was in
Still school.
Still school. And I lived at home during law school. Like,
Sure.
I could have, I guess, moved downtown, but it was just why the extra cost in Chicago, downtown Chicago. So
Yeah.
and then I ended up after graduation, you take the bar exam and passed, and then I started practicing. Yeah, and I was just living at home and practicing law, and
What kind of law?
So it was a small, they call them small boutique firms.
Sure.
So it was a dad and his son, and I was an associate there, and it was a lot of transactional work. So real estate, estate planning, advising businesses, corporate law work, like nothing too intense. I was not into the, I had a lot of friends in law school who went on to the big law firms, and you know, you had billable hours and
dramatic.
you had to, No, it was not. I did go to court a couple of times, but it wasn't as as interesting as it looks on TV. It's not TV. So but it was good. It was I worked there for 5 years, and it was good. And then I met my husband. So and then life changed.
Was he also a lawyer? Or?
No. So people ask me, so how did you meet? Because you never dated and all that kind of thing. And did you have an arranged marriage? Because that's a thing in our culture.
People might wonder.
So it wasn't really an arranged marriage, but you know, at that just before I was in my I was like about 26, and you know, our Indian community is small, and then families talk to each other like, hey, is your kid getting married? And are you looking for anybody? And so my parents like started feeling that pressure of, should we get involved? Should we? And so they attempted a couple of times, but nothing ever worked out. And I'm a firm believer in destiny, and there's that person for. I've been with my husband almost 30 years now, so I truly believe that. But so one of our really close family friends. So he came to the U.S. in '91. Prasad is my husband.
Okay.
And he came for his master's, and he just, through travels and work, he ended up in Chicago area. And one of our closest family friend who lived across the street from my parents ended up being his dad's cousin. And his dad called him and said, oh, you know, my cousin lives in the area, you should just give him a call and meet him. And so Prasad's like, sure. So he called him one day and said, hey, I just moved to the Chicago area and I'd love to meet you. This is my dad. And he's like, oh yeah, it's my first cousin. And so he went over for dinner, and as Prasad tells me the story, it was like, you know, hey, how are you? Tell us your story. Yeah. And then the third question was, are you interested in getting married at some point or meeting anybody? And he was like, he answered like, yeah, sure, at some point. I mean, he was 27 at the time. Yeah. He was focused on, you know, he was on a different visa at that time. So he was just focused on getting a job and being like having a protected immigration status. Of course. And so he's like, well, I know somebody. So it was, I would say, like, again, some people may not, my closest friends know the story, but like
now everybody's
not everybody's going to know the story, whoever listens to your show. But yeah, so we had a pretty traditional like Indian introduction. Okay. My parents met him first. My our close family friends like screened him because they're like, we're not bringing anybody to you that we don't think you would have any connection with. So yeah, we had a pretty formal introduction in my parents' living room with like 20-ish, like our family. Yeah. And it was an informal gathering. Sure. But then my parents were like, now it's up to you. Like, we've made the introduction, we've talked to him, we've, you know, kind of done the background check on him, and now you guys decide. And so yeah, there was a spark. And so then we just started dating. Nice. And I think sometimes, you know, you hear stories like we dated since high school and like 15 years later, now we're engaged. But I think you kind of know. And I was 27 at the time and he was 28. So I think at that point we kind of really knew what we wanted in life.
You'd had some time to figure out who you were.
Yeah. And I had met other people. And so a few months later, he was like, should we make this official? I'm like, sure. Let's do it. That's awesome. And here we are 30 years later. Yeah. So we had probably 8 months later we got married in a pretty, you hear about big fat Indian weddings. We
Yeah.
had the big fat Indian
Did you?
wedding. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was the whole. I mean, I literally, if you ever seen the one, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
And they're sitting at the dining table.
Yes.
And the daughter's like, "Who are these people?"
Yeah.
And
there's just so many.
I literally had that discussion with my parents, and my dad and mom said, this is your wedding, and whoever you want to invite, whatever kind of wedding you want, we support you. But you just want you to know that this is also our event. Like after 20 years in this country, like our daughter is getting married, and this is our time to. I don't know, like shine. I don't know what the word to use,
Well,
but
it's a
celebrate with our
celebration.
family and friends.
Yeah.
And so we had a very traditional Hindu wedding at our temple, and we had 760 people at the luncheon.
Oh my gosh.
And then we had a formal reception in the evening with about 550 people, like a sit down, like where people had like
They bring you your plate. Oh,
like
yeah.
name. They had no. We had to assign people. It wasn't like a.
Oh,
free
you had to do like a seating chart?
We had to do a seating chart, and I don't know in other cultures, but in Indian cultures, it's very common. Like we don't believe in the RSVP,
Okay.
even though we had RSVP cards.
Yeah.
Like they'll just show up with extra people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I remember my memory from beyond just marrying my husband was my dad literally walking around with like this 4-inch binder of his wedding stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of like
I love
in his tuxedo, like running around, making sure people were seated. And then I remember so clearly, finally, everyone was seated, and he went up to the bar and got a drink. And it was my dad was a whiskey drinker many years ago.
Yeah.
And he just had this glass of whiskey soda with a couple of ice cubes. That was his drink. And
Check mark.
yeah.
Got it done.
And I just remember my mom just being so happy and wearing, I still have the picture of her and me together at our wedding, and my siblings, and it's just, and like I said, we've been married 30 years, so.
Yeah, that worked. So my sister just went to a traditional wedding. Did that go over a couple days? I mean, are there?
Yeah, there's
there's like different components.
There's different
to it?
ceremonies. So ours actually, so we had a formal engagement ceremony right after we got engaged, and then we got married August. So a couple days before, they do like a formal make you the bride. There's just a function. It's in the house. And my mom's brother played, and his wife played a big role in it. It's in our tradition, like the maternal uncle.
Okay.
If you have, obviously some people don't have maternal uncles. I'm lucky to have amazing uncles. And him and his wife played a traditional role. And then Prasad had the same thing with his.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
And then the day of it was several hours of wedding ceremony and the outfits and the hair
Yeah, because
and the
she
jewelry.
got 2 outfits so that she could be part of it. They were gorgeous.
Yeah. And my parents and I had
gorgeous.
gone to India and done shopping and you buy a special sari and so it was I look back at it now and I was like, oh my God, it was just, it was a lot. It was stressful, but
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Nice job.
Yeah,
organizing
I
that.
don't remember. I got to, I guess, pick my outfit, pick my sari, and my dad literally, I got my organization skills from my dad. My dad was trained as a surgeon.
Yes.
And I think surgeons are control freaks.
Yeah.
He passed that along to me. My siblings will be happy to tell you I'm a control freak. And he literally planned. My dad literally planned the whole, literally the whole wedding. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
I was just there for the ride.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that,
Yeah.
to not have to carry all the decisions. And
Yep.
I mean, people have different preferences.
Yep.
That sounds lovely to me for somebody to take that over.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah. Okay, so get married.
Yeah.
And say goodbye to 700 people after your
Yeah.
service. And then how long until a baby?
So we got married in 96 of August, and my husband was consulting at the time.
Okay.
And so in those days, you went to where the site was, like the job
Oh,
site.
yes. So he finished his master's and everything. That
Yeah,
all
he
kind
was
of
working as
occurred.
a consultant in business. And so the minute we got married, I was like, we settled into our lovely new apartment, and I was so excited, to do this. And then he's like, well, I have a job off-site. So he was in D.C. first, and then he got a job in a site job in California. So he was doing the Monday through Thursday, which was fine because we didn't have kids then. But I was like, we're just married. Like, I don't want to be spending my life. And at that point, you know, I had 5 years into a law firm, and I was like, is this really what I want to do? So I just made this decision. I'm like, you know what? If you're going to California, I'm just going to pack up and come to California with you.
Yeah.
So I literally said, I'm moving to California with you. I'm quitting my job. We're able to survive on your salary. Let's be together and enjoy life. And my parents were probably like, what are you doing? You're leaving us? Like I'm sure, yes, they felt they were sad. But we moved to California, the Bay Area. And it was, that was in 97. And we just loved it. It was the tail end of, I would say, the real Silicon Valley boom.
Okay, gotcha.
And we were right outside San Francisco, just beautiful.
It's so gorgeous.
I mean, at that time, if I told you what we paid for apartment, I mean, it seems crazy then, but yeah, it was a lot, but you pay for the view and the weather. And he's like, well, what do you want to do out here? Do you want to start working? I said, well, I'd love to, let me take the California bar exam. So I started studying for that, and found out in November of 97 that I passed. And 2 days later, I found out I was pregnant with my first kid.
I mean, this is what we do as moms, right?
So I was like, okay, detour. I always knew because, you know, my mom, I remember my mom always worked. Like when I was young in India, she worked.
Yes.
And I was under the care, I had a nanny, and then her extended family took care of me. I don't remember too much in Ireland. She worked then too. So I always remember my mom working.
Sure.
And so I knew that I wanted to be hands-on completely. And I think my husband wanted that too.
Sure.
So I was like, you know what? I can always, I passed the bar.
I
can find something. Let's just focus. And it was our first kid. And you know, the first one is always like, read that, but what to expect when you're expecting. And
prepare.
Every small thing you're, you know, worried, don't drink Diet Coke, you know, like all those things.
Yes.
But in our culture, especially when you're pregnant, traditional in our tradition, your parents take you back to their home around your 7th, 8th month.
Okay.
And you stay with them for several months through their delivery, and you go back. And these are in joint family days.
Sure.
Right? But even, you know, you go back and they'll take you back after the baby's like around 3 months. So my mom was still working at that time, and she was a busy anesthesiologist. My dad was close to taking early retirement. But my mom had a conversation with my husband and said, listen, like, I know you guys live out in California and you guys want to be together, but this is our traditions, and we really want to take her back. Which for us was, my doctor was in California. That's who had taken care of me. And she wanted me to come back to a doctor I knew. It was her colleague at the hospital she practiced at. So it was all people I knew. And my husband was like, yeah, this is our tradition. I grew up in this tradition. I'm supportive of it. So yeah, around, I think it was May, right after Mother's Day, he flew me out to Chicago, and I ended up meeting my new doctor, and ended up staying with them. And then July 98, I was pretty close. He was planning on coming close to my due date. And I went for one of my final appointments, and they were doing weekly ultrasounds because I had gestational diabetes, and they wanted to monitor everything. And they didn't see Lakshmi moving.
Oh, dear.
And I was all by myself. I had taken a cab because my dad was working, my mom was working.
Sure.
And I was with her colleague, who was my doctor. And he got it was his colleague's daughter. He had taken care of me. Everything was fine until then. And his office was downstairs. The ultrasound was upstairs. And they called him up. And I was like completely oblivious to all this.
It's hard to know when
it's like when your baby, when it gets close to that time and the baby's dropping, you don't feel as much movement. So I wasn't too concerned. But he kind of panicked and he was like, you know what, I'm taking it. So he literally drove me to the hospital, which was pretty close by.
Sure.
My mom was in surgery that day, and he called her and he said, PJ, I'm here with her right now. I think we're going to have the baby. And my mom was like, what?
I'm already in a surgery.
I'm already in a surgery. He took me upstairs, and and so I ended up, called my husband, said, see if you can change your flight. They hooked me up to all the monitors, and he was worried. He's like, I don't want to wait. Let's just do a C-section. Yeah. So they took, within an hour and a half, went into this little, they don't prepare you for this stuff. I mean, like the OR at that point for a C-section was tiny. And by the time you had your anesthesiologist and my mom and the surgeon and the nurse,
close quarters.
It was tiny. And then they're like, well, we have to give you an epidural, obviously. I'm going to cut you open. And so I sat up in the bed, and I'm sure her colleague, it was her, so nervous to put a needle in my back.
Course.
And I think what happened was, it has to be so precise. And he got to the point where it hit the spinal, and I just had this shooting pain up my body to my head. And I remember, I was leaning into my mom. I'm like, Mom, I have such a bad headache right now. And he's like, forget the epidural. I'm just going to do a spinal on her. Let's get it in. And after that, I don't remember. And Lakshmi came out screaming and crying. Yeah. So she was fine. She was fine.
Goodness.
But it was a C-section. So it wasn't what I had planned.
No.
But my husband ended up coming that evening. And she was the first grandchild. And they were super. We named her after my Prasad's mom, who had passed away many years ago from breast cancer. So it was a joyful time for us. And he stayed a couple of weeks, and then he flew back, and I stayed with my parents. Yeah. My dad was actually, because my mom worked. Yeah. She was home for a little bit, but my dad literally had just taken early retirement. He would carry up a tray every day for me with my cereal and milk and the folded newspaper, because those days we read newspapers, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and because I had a C-section, it was the recovery was a little different, but and then I flew back to California. They flew me back, settled me in, and we had a little baby, and I was home with her, and Prasad was consulting, so he was gone Monday through Thursday, and here was me with
your new baby.
With new baby. And I mean, I didn't suffer from any postpartum depression. I didn't have any of that, but it was lonely. And I remember when he would come back, I was like, I love living in California, but I really want my kids to grow up around. We have no family here. We didn't have a lot of friends. I mean, California is vast, and there's a lot of Indians, but we really didn't. It was me.
You still have to find them.
I wasn't working. He had work friends. I mean, he wasn't he would come home. I mean, Monday through Thursday he was traveling. He didn't want to go anywhere over the weekend. He wanted to spend time with Lakshmi.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. I want her to grow up around her grandparents. And as I am usually, I looked at him one day and I'm like, I think we should move back to Chicago. And even if you stay around here for a little longer,
Yeah.
And so when she was about 7 months, I picked up and I said, we're moving. Yeah. And I moved back in with my parents.
Well, I mean, if you have the opportunity, and the whole, can I just make a comment? Every culture is different, and maybe it's not something people understand because they didn't experience it. But to me, the best way is to be open and learn about that and hear about it. And there are some things in there that it's like, actually, that's kind of nice that people want to help take care of you and you're not alone in those last few months of pregnancy. Also, it's nice that people are around when you have your baby and want to help you when the baby first comes. In my coaching, I always start by asking, what do you wish you had, one thing you wish you had help with? And inevitably it's these answers like, I wish somebody would do the laundry. I wish somebody would have helped me postpartum. I wish my kids' bedrooms were clean. And it's like, well, there are answers to that, and those are surface level, you know. Yeah. But that strength you draw from the other people who want to be there for you and your baby. Yes. And it's really a sending off and being prepared and loved and knowing that you're tethered to something, bigger than yourself and a community. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
Hard to do if you are immigrant because it's not set up like that, you know, and if you move to California, then you have to make a decision to, if you want that life, you know, everybody's not moving to California, like you have to make that decision. But yeah, it's so nice that you were able to do that.
Yeah. And I've realized I'm really a Midwest girl at heart.
Yeah.
You know, this is where I grew up, and so I moved back, and Prasad was still consulting, so he was still gone Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
And I was with my parents and Lakshmi, and she got to grow up. I mean, her and my dad, my nieces and are always like, we always know that she's Tata, that's what they call them. And she's his favorite. I mean, I think with her, he was able to do the things he never got to do with us. And I think as grandparents, like, raising your children is kind of different. And yeah, he really took care of her. And when she was 8 months old, I found out I was pregnant with my younger daughter, Sanja. So it just was, And so in a span of 17 months, I had 2 kids in diapers. And so it was, wow.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
My daughters are 18 months apart.
Yeah.
And maybe you experienced this too, but when I brought my second daughter home and then I had to change their diapers, it's like, hey, why aren't you, like, you're adult size now.
Yeah, no,
this
I
tiny
know.
baby,
I know.
You know?
I know. And
But just before that, you were thinking like this tiny little person.
Yeah.
And then a tinier person was there. And those were, for me too, like 2 kids that young, that was hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah, I loved it, but just the logistics of it, lack of sleep, that was really hard.
I mean, I was fortunate. Sanja, who's my younger daughter, was the easiest baby. I mean, everything I went with Lakshmi, like Lakshmi was a picky eater. She didn't nurse well, like all the good sleeper, but just didn't do any of that stuff. So that was a little stressful. And my Sanja girl was like, I know how to do this, Mom. I know how to nurse. I'll sleep for you for 3 hours, and So
what a little gem.
Yeah, she's a gem.
Are there personalities like that now still?
Yeah. So, like I said, they're 17 months apart, and so like when you talk about like your moments of strength, like so when Sanja was 18 months, we had gone to India for her first birthday. First time we had gone back after we were married. So it was the first time my husband's family literally met me, met them. And it was wonderful. And then we came back and we ended up moving. Prasad got a job with John Deere. And so we ended up moving to Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah.
For a Chicago girl, moving to Beaver Dam. And I had 2 little kids, and I was like, my brother and sister both were UW grads.
Okay.
So I knew Madison really well. And we knew we kind of wanted to move back to this area.
Sure.
We had known Sun Prairie just from like driving around, and it was, 24 years ago, Sun Prairie was much different.
Yeah. Much smaller.
Yeah, much smaller.
Really doubled in size.
And so we're like, this is a nice community. This is kind of like where we maybe want to like think about moving here. And so we decided to move here in we ended up building a home in 2002.
Okay.
And we moved into the home. Sanja was probably just 2 years old. And then we started noticing. Lakshmi is a year and a half older than her. So I think as parents, like when you have your first one, I don't know, everything is so new, you don't know what to expect.
You don't have anything to measure against.
But then we had Sanja, we had Lakshmi. So we started noticing like Sanja wasn't picking up words as much as Lakshmi. Like her eye contact was off. She wasn't really talking as much as Lakshmi. And then, you read books that say, well, the oldest one kind of takes over and is the stronger one in the relationship, so they don't necessarily need to talk.
Sure.
But it was really the eye contact and the sounding like she couldn't hear us when we called her name. And she had words. And again, I just think we're so new at this.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect. And then I remember we were in our new house and she started doing things like grabbing on, like with her mouth, the paint on the corner of the walls and kind of mouthing the paint. And then she would just like sit and flip picture books and not really like engage with us.
Oh, sure.
She wasn't doing like the pointing. Like that's a big
Yeah.
milestone, right? When your kids point at things and share things with you. And she wasn't doing that. So like there were things in the back of my mind, but I had 2 little kids. So I was like, and we had a new house, right?
And like, yeah.
And so I was telling Prasad, like, this is a little, you know, I don't know, what do you think? And he was like, she'll outgrow it. It's just things kids do. And Prasad is anybody knows him, he's a low-key guy. He doesn't let a lot of things bother him in the sense of, like, I can get worked up about things, but he's the steady rock. And so we were watching TV one day, and there was a show on, and it was a pretty serious show. And Sanja started laughing, like kind of an uncontrollable laugh. And I was laughing along with her. And he looked at me all of a sudden. He's like, you know what? That's not really funny. And I was like, you know, you're right. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to go upstairs. And this was the old days where you had a desktop computer and it was only in your office or your bed, you know. You had to dial up the internet. And so I typed in, I forgot the search terms, but like weird laughter in kids or something strange laughter. And it came up like autism. And I was like, oh. And so then they give you like, here's the checklist. So I did the checklist and I'm like, okay, yeah, she meets about 4 or 5 of these things. And so I went down, I called him up and I said, you should read through this. And he's like, yeah, that could be her. And so we had just moved into our house. We didn't even have a pediatrician yet. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to call, what do we do? I mean, I grew up in a family of doctors. You call the professional right away.
Of course.
So I was like, we need to get her seen. So we went, I looked up, and we lived right by the Tower Drive Dean Health. And luckily at that time, Joanne Taylor was accepting patients, and I called her office and I said, hey, I have 2 kids. They do need a pediatrician, but right now this is our concern. So they got us in right away, and Dr. Taylor, if anybody's had her, is the most wonderful person. And yeah, she's like, yeah, this is concerning, and you guys are probably right. Let's get her, let me do a referral and get her in. So she got us referral, and things didn't move fast then in those days either. But I think it was probably 6 weeks later that we went to Dr. Williamson at, I think it was at St. Mary's. It's like fuzzy to me now.
Sure.
This was like November 11th, 2003. That's like one of those dates that's always in your brain.
Yeah.
And we went in, and we took Lakshmi with us. And like he started doing all these tests, you know, play tests and throwing things, engaging with Lakshmi, and you could just see. And Sanja at that time, she was just a climber. She had no fear of heights, and she was climbing all over Dad.
How old was Sanja at this
time?
time?
Was not. She would be 3 that December, so she was just not even 3 yet.
Gotcha.
And I think that's the time when parents started noticing things in general. And so right away, he's like, yeah, I would say this is pretty classic autism. And so we were like, okay. And then, you know, you have all the emotions. Of course. And it's like, oh my God, and what do we do? And we hadn't, and this is how I find like destiny. Like I'd never seen myself living in Wisconsin. I always saw myself living in Chicago or some big city.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I don't know if you realize, but Wisconsin is one of the top states for helping kiddos with autism. And we're like, okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And obviously things have changed.
I mean, it's
and
been
in those days, I mean, and he's like, the premier therapy at that time was something called ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis.
Oh, sure.
He's like, it's Wisconsin Early Autism Project. They're right here in Madison. Let's refer you to them.
Interesting.
And so it just started the ball rolling. And then, you know, you went to see all the other specialists, got a hearing checked, her gas, you know, autism is a very complex thing. People think it's just this brain thing, but you know, there's so many different therapies.
I think it's just what you can see.
Yeah, but there's sometimes there's a digestive system that's involved, and yeah, just so many things. But we were fortunate, like the earlier you get your kids into therapy, the better. And so 6 months later, pass all the, fill out all the paperwork and the Katie Beckett and just so many funding issues that by the grace of God, we never paid a cent for.
Wow.
Because
Amazing.
of that's how, you know, that's the system that was around. And yeah, so we got her in there, and literally it was, you know, 40 hours a week of in-home therapy.
Holy cow.
So we had a senior therapist, you know, supervised by a psychologist, a senior therapist, and a slew of these wonderful young people, and mainly young people at that time. They were college students and grad students looking for jobs, and they would come in our house probably 6 to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and work with Sanja on the easiest tasks, like take a block and put it in a bucket, like repetitive, you know, and then building slowly, along with, you know, then we contacted the school district and got her into because the school district's under obligation to serve their students who are, you know, under school age, like under 5, who qualify for special services. So yeah, so she was in full ABA, and I was literally at home because somebody had to be home with her. Prasad was working, and we still had Lakshmi. Lakshmi was in preschool, and so we did that. She was over 3. And she was a late birthday, so she didn't start school till she was almost 5.5, which I think was a blessing in disguise for us. And so we did 2 years of full intensive, 40 hours a week, and we were fortunate because we had a group of therapists who stuck with her through those 2.5 years. And yeah, she recovered some language. You know, we are fortunate because, you know, autism is really a spectrum. You have severe autistic people who can self-injure and self-harm, and then you have super high functioning. You know, you see them and you're like, oh, they have a few little quirks and but they're on the spectrum. But they're fully functional. They're able to hold conversations and jobs and get married and all that. And I would say Sanja's somewhere in the middle. So she's not like, she knows words. She talks when she wants to. But yeah, she started school when she was 5 in kindergarten. We were super fortunate. She had amazing teachers and amazing assistants throughout her schooling, and was with the school district till she was 21, because kids are eligible for services until they're 21. And, you know, graduated now and goes to an adult day program and holds down 2 part-time jobs. And
for her.
Yeah, so it was for us, you know, like, I don't want to say, you know, generalize anything, but
no, of course not.
You know, we grew up in a pretty privileged house. You know, we had parents who like worked super hard and gave us this great life and an education, and we got married and everything was. And so when you talk about like this wrench that comes in, and that was for our family, like my parents being doctors, they were like, my mom's like, I think I read about autism once in my medical textbook. Like, and I think for them, like it's hard for me and my husband, but we knew that we couldn't just sit there and wallow like, oh my God, like she needed us. We needed to be as proactive as possible and advocate for her needs. But I think for my parents, it was really like, oh my God, what did we do? Like, did we do something? Like, you know, and in our culture, like I would say Asians in general, especially Indians, like we don't talk about a lot of these things. We don't talk psychology, depression, like, but guess what? Indian kids get autism.
It doesn't mean it's not there.
Indian kids are, they're artistic Indian kids. Like people get cancer. Like all these things happen. And I think for them, like a lot of their friends, like I don't think even to this day know that Sanja is autistic. They know she's a little quirky. She doesn't talk a lot. But I think it's super hard for them to talk about it.
Easier to avoid.
Yes. Yes. You know, love her completely, would do anything for her. She is like I'm so fortunate to have the siblings I have and my brother-in-law and our nieces. And obviously, Sanja has an older sister who will one day end up being her primary caretaker. But so our life has never, I'm happy to say, has never changed because of Sanja's autism. Like, we've just brought her into the fold.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's how sometimes you teach kids resilience and families acceptance. Like, we're not gonna, like, there's no trips we've taken, there's, you know, like, yeah, sometimes things are hard, and when she was much littler, like, going to a restaurant was hard. Like, there was things that were harder. As she's grown older, she has also developed, and yeah, I mean, she's a pretty independent young adult, but I feel like, you know, my generation is getting a little better at talking about these things. Like, I have friends now who are Indian whose kids have autism, and while social media can be super toxic, and like, for me, 20 years ago when Sanja was diagnosed, like, Facebook became this, like, avenue for me to be, like, openly talk about Sanja and our family's experiences, having a special needs kiddo. And my friends were like, wow, we didn't know. And some of them found out for the first time on Facebook.
Sure, yeah.
I answered this question, like the 20 questions about yourself. And that was one of the questions.
Give your information
away, and people reached out. But like now, like I have a community of autism moms out there who are Indian, and we can share. And now I can openly talk with my parents' friends, you know, and it's like, if we don't talk about it, like, how are we helping the acceptance and the awareness? Like, it to me, but so as I've in my professional life, it's been nice for me because, you know, when my kids joined the district many years ago, we were one of 5 families, I think, in the entire district who were from India. And now, like, the language I speak at home is the 4th most spoken language in the Sun Prairie School District, which to me is, like, mind-blowing. I live in a neighborhood where every other neighbor is Indian now. And so, and guess what? Their kids also, some of them have special needs. And that's one way I feel like that's, like, to help them with the like, there's nothing, you haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with your kiddo. Like, this happens. Like, this is life. And we just have to do everything we can to help our kiddos.
Yeah, I think, that is so important. A couple of things. When you mentioned, you know, you said we had a privileged life and, you know, our parents were doctors. But I just want to point out that, like, you had a privileged life because of a few things, but your parents made intentional decisions to pursue leaving a country, going to another country, existing there, making a decision to move to another country, to embrace what was around them, maneuver within that, develop, raise their kids. There was a lot of intentionality, even when they were in a different area. So privilege, you know, sometimes privilege comes from hard work. Sometimes people land in privilege, and we get that. But yes, and then to your other point, when you were talking about, like, Sanja, and you didn't take vacations maybe and leave her behind or something like that. You know, when you make a decision to be a parent, however you became the parent, but you make a conscious choice that you're committed to this child, and that is your lot in life now. That is yours, and not just you, but for anybody who feels that way. You don't necessarily, like, your child arrives, whether that's through adoption or birth or however, there, and now you are tasked. It is your job at all costs to care for that child, help that child develop, provide. I mean, 40 hours a week therapy. I mean, is that still a thing?
I think it is. I think people who pursue,
there's like programs maybe or something like that.
I think, but I think that's still
that's an intense
it's called intensive applied behavior analysis, and that's what it was, and that's literally what it took, like 100 times for her to just simply put the block or read the word on the, you know. Yeah.
And all the people committed to her, and your choice as a mom to support that and be home when that was going on, and your husband's choice to work so that you get, you know, and her sister's commitment to her, and yeah, that's what we're supposed to be
because
doing.
it's you know, I find that, you know, like I said, we're Hindu, and so we do believe a lot in fate, and so like I look back now and I'm thinking, you know, there was a reason we're in Sun Prairie. There's a reason we're in a small town, smaller town than when I grew up with, because I think if we had raised her in that, I would have felt more of that cultural pressure from my...
Oh, to maybe not talk.
Yeah, to maybe not talk. Like, why isn't your daughter doing dance? Or why isn't she, like, learning violin? Or is there a reason she doesn't? Like, because we were, I mean, it made us very secluded from... which I think was a blessing for us, because we really focused on her and what she needed. And I remember my cousin reminds me of this. So I'm very close to my cousins on both sides of our family. And him and his wife moved into a new home, and we have a big, grand housewarming, religious ceremony and everything. And it was right after Sanja got diagnosed, and we were in the midst of first few months of her therapy, and we weren't going anywhere. Like, we had committed that this is what we need to do. Like, in at least the first year, let's see how it goes. I wrote to him, and I had never missed a family function, and he actually saved the text, the email, and I'd written to him, there's things going on right now in life that I can't talk about, but just know if I could be there, I'd be there. And he writes back to me, and he reminded me that a couple of years ago, and every year he makes a donation in Sanja's name to Autism Speaks. And so, but it's like, yeah, so I find that when we moved to Sun Prairie, we got this like area where I could just focus on her, the people who were helping her with her therapies, the schools, and then I made, you know, she started elementary school, and so then my like day was, and she was half-time therapy, half-time in school. And Lakshmi was in school. And we had another kid we had to take care of and prep her for like her life. Because when you have a sibling, any sibling, it's a work.
Yes.
And then when you have a sibling who you know is going to be, is going to rely on you for a lifetime. Like, we had to like, so when we put Sanja on a special diet, like, Lakshmi, guess what? You're going to eat this food too. And so she, from a young age, but we never wanted her to feel like, because Sanja has autism, like, your life has to change.
Oh, right.
So you still get to do the things you love to do. You get to go to school. You get to do sports. You get to do all that. And Sanja will be your biggest fan.
Yes.
She came to every frickin' swim meet. Lakshmi was a swimmer. And yeah, she was her biggest cheer. And she was only there for the hot dogs and the concession. She loves concessions.
Anyway there.
So, but yeah, so we never changed. We wanted to make sure, like, we need to build Lakshmi, have her have as much of a normal, and she did. I think she would tell you she had a normal childhood, with all the things she got to do. But at the same time, build that resilience in her too. Like, you know, at some point, like, this is, and you know, my sister lives in town, like, with her two younger ones now and her older ones off. But like, the cousins all know, like, they call her Shaka. That at some point, like, they all take care of, like, they know, even though she can boss them all around, that they know. And I think that as a family, we've been very committed to that. But yeah, I just think the community I have built here of friends, like Sanja's, one of her aides in school is like one of my closest friends. So we built a friends, or because of Sanja, we've built our closest friendships here. And it's wild, because some of the things I still hold from my childhood, and if I grew up in Chicago and like not wanting to talk about things, like, I find like even now Prasad and I are still we're still a little weary of, even though we do have Indian friends, and the Indian friends I know in the area and my closest friends, they know about Sanja. But I'm still wary about the feelings of, the thoughts of like the
collective.
Yeah, the collective. because they still don't talk about it. And that's the thing. That's the one thing that has been carried over, like when they come from India here. I think the generation that's growing up here, who immigrated like me many years ago, the kids I'm raising,
Yes.
that generation is much more open to talking about all the things that happen in life.
Yes.
Depression and autism and physical illnesses that everyone's going to get. But I think there's the people who, the recent immigrants or the generation that hasn't had the honor of growing up in this country. And I think if you talk to any immigrant, they feel that very close to their heart, like, yeah, our parents came here and built this life for us in this other country. Yeah, and so, like, if I could tell anything to this generation, like, feel it's okay, because I know I've helped parents sit in IEP meetings.
Oh, yes.
And the moms and dads will say, like, yeah, but we don't want them to feel neglected.
Right.
And I'm like, but then you have to be open with, if your friends are your friends and they're accepting, then you have to be open with them and talk about your struggles and how it feels for you as a parent to, like, have to explain why your kid is, like, not talking or constantly running the room or, not toilet trained at 4 years old. So, like, has to be acceptance from the, they talk about awareness, acceptance. There has to be awareness. And if you don't know, like, what you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And I think people are caring. They just need to know. And then hopefully the acceptance will come and they'll create that.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
So when you fully accept that is where you are, that will be the hardest in trying to communicate with other people about what's going on here. That is the probably biggest hurdle. And you love your child so much that you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. And when you accept that child fully, you will be an ambassador for that child for wherever you are.
Right.
And you talk about the generation that, hasn't accepted it yet. And, you can't change all of that.
Oh, no.
But you have made an impact on how people see that through how you have parented and been there for Sanja and introduced her to the community and all of that. So that's the other thing, we want, not that you were saying this, but it makes me think, when you want to make a difference, what you want to do is change everything to how you want it now, and that's, you just can't. But boy, you can really incrementally impact situations, relationships, friendships, communities. You can do that incrementally within your space with what you have available.
Right.
So.
And if your friends really care for you, they're going to accept.
Yes.
Right? Otherwise, they may not be the people you need to, they may not be your people.
They might have been your people for a part of your life, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think too is, when you have that acceptance, people want to be guided. People want to be guided. They'll tell you they don't, but they do.
Yeah.
Talk to any child. No, they don't want to make their bed. Yes, they do, because over time they develop a habit that is good. So people want to be guided. And so if you're in something like that and it's uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable, and it's okay to say, you know what, this might be uncomfortable, but I feel like I'm just going to explain to you a little bit about what's going on here, because that'll make both of us comfortable.
Right.
Boy, that really opens things up.
Yeah, I mean, just like our extended family. It's like we have gatherings and they all love and care for Sanja, and it's because we are open with that. Instead of, like, having people guess and make up stories, like, just be honest with them. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. Your child didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Like, this is life. Life happens. And you could be going on a perfect line and right.
It's going to last 2 seconds.
Right.
A perfect line.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it builds, I mean, we've built resilience in ourselves.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of things that, I mean, things still bother me. And I obviously, you know, for me and Prasad, we worry a lot about, like, whoa, you know, as we're getting older, and we're writing our wills and trusts, and you get to that point, we're traveling without our kids. Yeah, we worry about that. Like, what's going to happen to her? But we've tried to build this strength around her, her people, her sister, her cousins, her aunt and uncles, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's a worry for me, for Lakshmi as well, right? You know, I just lost my mom almost a year ago, and yeah, I think that's the hardest thing to, you know, it's like nothing, I don't think anything prepares you. And I mean, for us, like, we knew my mom was sick for many years, and she ended up being in hospice. But, like, it's still like, wow, it's a parent. So I can't imagine, you know, for Sanja especially, you know, her dad and me are like, especially now because Lakshmi doesn't live at home anymore. It's just me, her, and him most of the time. And of course now my dad lives with us. So now her and my dad have formed this little bond. They kind of take care of each other for a couple hours when me and Prasad are at work. But yeah, it's as you're getting older, like those, you know, you think that time of parenthood was hard when they were little, but as you're getting older and you think about, oh my God,
you know,
like they're gonna have to like survive this world without us, and that's like, ugh.
I'm never leaving.
Yeah.
I'm literally not. I'm literally committed to never leaving. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we were gonna write our will, and I was like, you can write it. Like, you don't need to write that for me because I'm never leaving.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I know.
It's so hard.
It is important to do, though.
And it is done, but I did not want to do it.
No, it's we took Lakshmi with us.
Oh yeah, that's
so
not a
it's just
bad idea.
another thing. Like, it's like, I know I'm totally not the perfect parent, and I think I'm still in that generation that we try to be open about things, but then there's still things that are holding us back, and I think culturally there's some still cultural things I have to let go of.
Sure.
So I know I have to work on a lot of that, and she's probably looking at me like, Mom, you can talk to me about it. It's okay. But, and I don't know where I was going.
You took her with?
We took her with us when we actually signed off on our documents. And our attorney, who was wonderful, was like, you need to bring her because it's going to be her responsibility.
Yeah.
And she needs to meet me. She needs to know what the plan is. And it was, I'm sure she was like, this is the weirdest thing. Like, you're talking to me about what kind of funeral you want. And,
I know. It's so strange.
It's so strange, but it was done in such a way where we felt like we kind of laughed about it. And she's like, yeah, I know you want like the traditional Hindu funeral. And, and I really wished my parents had, because because it left us a lot guessing. Like, we kind of knew what my mom wanted, but then we didn't know what we didn't talk to our dad, and those aren't easy conversations. And I think when you have them earlier, and when it's not like something that you're expecting to happen soon, you know, God willing, I think it's better. So I think it just saves a lot of those really hard conversations when your parents are much older. And I feel it now because, like, I'm really in that sandwich generation. I have like,
with your dad living there.
Yeah, if my dad ever sees this, I don't want him to think this, but I do feel like I have 3 adult children, right? And I'm named after his mother, so he maybe feels like I'm his mother. I kind of tend to be bossy.
Yeah. Well, it's a strange place to be, you know, because you relied on them for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, but they were in your position too.
Yes.
You know, so it's a cycle. Yeah, and it's hard.
And the thing is, they lost their parents at such a young age. They never went through this period.
That's right, because that was before they left.
They never went through this period. And so I don't think they have anything to, like, my Lakshmi, her cousins they have an experience that they've witnessed with us and my mom's illness and moving my dad and all that my parents, they didn't have that. And so for them, for my dad, for both of them, it was super new. And my parents are just, like, they traveled the world. They led this super active life and were very involved in their temple. And then my mom got ill, and it was like another one of those wrenches. Like, and part of me is like, you kind of knew this was gonna.
Well,
But
we all
they never.
know.
But they never. I don't think I mean, they were just. Yeah, like
Plan to be here.
planned to be here. I mean, never thought of it and never saw their parents get old. Where like I've experienced my parents getting old,
Yeah, so you can
and my
see that.
and our kids have experienced us taking care of my parents. So, yeah, it's not.
Yeah. It's not the best. It's not the most
No,
fun.
it's not at all. But yeah. But I'm glad. I mean, having siblings is truly a blessing, and that's one thing I'm so fortunate. Like me and my, actually, when we were when my mom was in hospice, the nurses would tell us all the time, like, you guys are just so on the page with everything.
That's
together.
so
She's
good.
like, you don't realize how families come in and they have different thoughts about, you know, the care. And I said, well, we kind of really knew who my mom was. And I think we really realized, like, my mom was really the center of our family. And I don't think you realize that sometimes until they're not there anymore or they've stepped back from that role. And she was really the emotional. My dad is very quiet and reserved, and my mom was the gregarious storyteller. And that's how we learned about both sides of our family, is through her. And so, like, she was that emotional connection with everything. And so we're trying to, like, keep, and I'm definitely more like my dad, Dad 2.0. My siblings remind me that all the time. You're really like Dad, and I think sometimes that's why we butt heads, because we're so like.
Yeah.
And my sister is definitely more like my mom. She's the storyteller. So yeah,
Keep it going.
yeah, keep it going.
Yeah, that whole, well, this is what we talk about moms all the time here. And it's just such an important component in everyone's lives that is fortunate enough to have a mother in their life. And it's taken for granted, let's not lie. I did that, you did that, because you can't hardly imagine it not being there. And you don't want to imagine that. And this is why sometimes, you know, when people's moms call and they see that it's their mom, I just saw this reel once where it's like, the guy's like, oh, you know, he doesn't want to answer, but he knows he has to answer. But there's this accountability that, you know, your mom holds you to.
Yes.
Because they know you.
Yes.
And so, you know, just that relationship requires you to be probably authentic and face some things maybe you don't want to face.
I mean, if you've ever been a caretaker, like those, you know, like, I remember it's such a, like, full circle moment. Like, your parents are there and they're the ones who are dressing you and changing your diapers and all those things, feeding you. And then as your parents get older, like, you have to do some of those things.
Same tasks.
And I remember my mom so many times, like, apologizing to us, and we'd be like, Mom, you did this for us. Like,
I know.
I don't mind doing this.
I owe you.
I'm indebted. Like, of course, why would you think we wouldn't do this for you?
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, people are always like, oh my God, you guys did so much for your mom. And I'm like,
of course.
That's what we would have done no matter what. I mean, and it's hard. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing to do, but it's what we did. So, and so, I mean, my mom deserved us to do that for her. So,
yeah, that's a hard road.
It is. It is
and still fresh for you.
Yeah, still fresh.
Yeah.
My mom was. She was really she was the oldest of 7. And my grandmother had her when my grandmother was 14. So this is in India many years ago. And my child brides is a thing.
Yes.
And so my grandmother was married very young and had my mom when she was 14. And my mom actually lost her biological mom when she was, my mom was only 14. And her mom was 32. So she was eventually raised by her stepmother, who's a lovely woman. Only grandparent we ever really knew. But my mom was a trailblazer. I am literally one generation away from not being educated and being a child bride and having like 6, 7 kids by the time I'm 20 something. So like, because of the decisions my mom made, and because of she wanted to be educated and pursue a profession, and that her dad was willing to support her. Like, that's why we're here now. I mean, it's because of the decisions that she made and the life she wanted.
The decisions one person made.
Yeah. And now I have cousins and our kids who are like PhDs and like they'll still be like, oh, your mom was our inspiration. And
Yeah. One person made that. So that is so important, because all of us moms out here making decisions day in and day out, they matter, they matter.
If she hadn't decided, then I don't know what her
We
life
wouldn't
would
be
have been.
sitting
Yeah,
here.
we would not be
Yeah.
sitting here.
No, we would not be
Definitely
sitting
not
here.
in Sun
No.
Prairie, Wisconsin.
No. And now you are, you work here in Sun Prairie.
Yes, I do.
And what's next? I mean,
I honestly, I don't know. I mean, like I said, my husband and I are at that time in our life where we're like thinking about, okay, retirement. Like, what do we want to do? We love traveling, and that's what we really want to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, my dad lives with us, so we have, between me and my sister, we kind of tag team, but he lives physically with us.
Yes.
So,
and you still have family in India?
my husband's family lives in India.
Yeah,
my siblings both live in the
Everybody's here,
U.S., and I have cousins, and so I honestly, I couldn't tell you what's next.
Yeah.
Life is kind of just going on right now. The kids are good. Lakshmi's kind of on her own, making her way in the world.
Yeah.
Sanja's continues to do her, she's a person of routine. Like, it's like my dad. She's very routine oriented. So she loves weekends, though. Weekends she sleeps in. But Monday through Friday, she knows she's up at 6 getting ready for her day. So we see a lot of travel. That's what I hope.
Maybe it's okay to just.
I think I need to. It's been a really interesting year of a lot of loss and fresh start, a new home. My dad moving in with us, and just this new. So I don't know. We're thinking, and my husband's constantly thinking about retirement, and he wants to enjoy. We've worked hard, and we want to
get to the other side
we
of
want to
that.
be able to. Then I know, like I said, my parents have traveled, like literally traveled the world. I think they haven't been to Antarctica, the 2 continents they haven't been to, but they've been everywhere.
I feel like that maybe is last on a lot of lists,
that's probably
Antarctica.
last. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would love to be able to do that, and
Yeah.
we're trying to intentionally say every year we want to do a trip somewhere, and just like enjoy. We're not. I think we've reached, wealth is good, and money. It's given us a lifestyle that we are fortunate with, but I don't feel like professionally I don't think he feels that either. He's just like happy to be where he is, and I don't have that kind of.
Oh, you don't have that like
ambition to
thing.
move like things I want to accomplish in my professional life.
Yeah. But you kind of got to do some of that.
Yeah,
early on, too.
I
So
have, and I'm
good.
able to do other things, but I just want to be, like I said, we've been married 30 years, and we've been constantly in this parenting work things, and I would love to be able to take the kids every year on a trip to somewhere new, because we're a foodie family. We love trying new foods and traveling new places. So they're busy planning
That's good.
next year's trip. And so I think that's just want to be good people and give back where we can. I don't like attention. That's why I'm on your that's why I'm sitting down to talk to you right now. If my boss were to tell you anything, he knows that I don't like being thanked in public settings, or I'm just like, don't.
I'm not going to thank you anymore on this show. Then.
So, yeah, I just want to live under the radar
Yeah.
and just do my thing and try to be a good person and help where I can. And
That's a great aim.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, that's.
Imagine if everyone just did that.
Yeah.
If everyone's aim was just to
Yeah.
be a good person.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be
I want
said
to
for
enjoy
that.
Netflix on Friday nights.
Yeah.
And cheer for my baseball team.
That feels like a pretty good
Yeah,
life.
that's pretty much what I want
That's
now.
good. I think that's great, and
Yeah.
you've earned it, and you're lovely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, is there anything, since the show is for moms and
Yeah,
about
yeah,
moms, any other tidbits or suggestions, advice, anything to share with moms? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the challenge, it's hard. It's
hard.
It's hard. There's no roadmap and no two journeys are the same. I've grown up in a tradition and a culture where, when I went to law school, that was like, wait, your daughter's going to law school?
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not going to med school?
Oh.
She doesn't want to go to even engineering at that time. It was always med school.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like and I can only speak for me as an Asian Indian,
Mm-hmm.
that we have a path that we feel like our kids need to,
Mm-hmm.
They do amazing in school, they get perfect ACTs, they have to learn classical violin,
Mm-hmm.
Western style, but they have to learn Indian music as well. They have to learn dance. They need to be on debate team. They need to be in forensics. Oh, and if they're in sports, that's amazing. And they're constantly building this resume.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to speak our language at home and learn how to read and write it, and also, learn a third language.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like I said, I can only speak from my experience, because I've seen friends and friends' kids who have suffered from
Mm-hmm.
that. Like they're constantly we call it keeping up with the Rows,
Mm-hmm.
because that's an Indian surname, like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yes.
Like,
It's a constant state of achievement.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and in the end, like we don't, like when you go to, like people don't ask each other, are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just happy? And we don't ask each other that. And I just want to, like, sometimes I just want to shake them and say, like, stop putting so much pressure on your children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a privilege to raise them, and they're amazing human beings. And Sanja's been the biggest blessing for our family. Like, if, people think that's, oh my God, I feel so bad for you.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, the people who have come into our lives and our experience all happened because of her. Like, I wouldn't have the friends I have, or the community I have, or be in my job that I have without her. She was the impetus for so many decisions. And I think my husband would agree for that. Like, nothing in our life has been, yes, it's been affected, but we haven't suffered
Yes, that's a very
because
good point.
because of her autism. We have grown as people and as parents, and the life we've been given is really because of her and the choices we had to make. So, like, stop the pressure, the constant, like, it's okay if your kid gets an A-. Like, guess what? They're still going to get into college if that's their ambition, or get a good job. When I was growing up, like, you were limited. You were either a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. I felt like I broke
Newly accepted.
Yeah, newly accepted. But now I have friends' kids who are, like, into the arts.
Oh, yeah.
And all sorts of things, into politics and business, like doing all sorts of things, and seem to be thriving and happy, and you're all constantly, don't compare your children to other. You wouldn't want to be compared to someone else. Like, don't compare. You don't know what that other family is going through behind closed doors. So that, like, for my advice is, like, just parent the kid in front of you and do the best job you can. And just don't, the comparison, it's not helpful for you, and so much pressure on kids these days to be like, I have to just be one up and do all these things, like, which by the time Friday comes around for me, by 8 o'clock I want to be in bed.
Yes.
and I can't imagine being a little person. I mean, I remember, I'll stop with this, like when Lakshmi was in club swim. So club swim is like, for anybody kids are in sports, it's like the time outside of like school sports, where you're going on weekends, and I remember her coming to me, and she was, I think, a 9th grader, and so that was when still 9th grade was at the upper middle school, and she started crying, and she's like, Mom, I can't do this club swim anymore. Like, I have like all these classes I'm doing, and I have homework, and I just want to be a kid too. She's like, I love swimming, and I'm going to do high school swim, but I don't want to do this. And I was like, great. Yeah, that's an easy choice for us. Saves us a little money too.
Yeah, by the way, okay.
Yeah, but I think my advice to parents is like let that kid, and don't try to live your dreams out in your kids. Like, they need to figure it out, because you're not going to be there always for them. We just can help them set the foundation.
Right.
And the pressure cooker of it's having to achieve is kids are suffering, and you're seeing that now with I see it in my community of kids who are like on anxiety medicines and all sorts of things, and they're in therapy, and I just feel like we need to create a caring community and caring kiddos, and as adults we need to be able to model that for our kids, and kids are watching. Right?
Yes, they are.
And if you need to set the example first before you send them out into the world of social media, and
that's a whole other.
Set that strong foundation for them, and then. So that's my final 2 cents.
Great advice. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for coming on the show.
I had a great time.
I'm so glad. Yes. So this is good. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think, a big lesson here is the acceptance piece, and watching you talk about just your family and your path here. That has just been enlightening and a great example of what can happen when you fully take that into your heart and then you become an ambassador for the people you're responsible for. So thank you very much for that.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Okay, so don't forget to keep your own perspective, but always be willing to step into someone else's, as we did with Chandu today, to understand where she was coming from. Don't be afraid to share your perspective too. Be resilient, continue to show up. You need it, your kids need it, the world needs it. Have pursuits and aims and goals, and stick with them. Look for support when you don't think you can do it alone. And speaking of alone, you are not. There is a group of about 2 billion of us worldwide. So don't feel alone. We are here for you. Thank you.